on this. You learned how to check solutions in grade 8? Well, that's probably where you got introduced to it. Like in grade 8, you might have had an equation that said 2x plus 3 equals 13. Okay, we'll keep the numbers lower just for sake of keeping it simple here. If somebody said, is this the solution? Is 10 the solution to that equation? How could you check if 10 is the solution to this equation? This is kind of grade 8. How could you check if that's the solution? First of all, what does it mean to be the solution? Kind of the answer, what this variable is. How could you check if it's the solution? Is x 10 in this case? Does it work when you put 10 in? If you want to check, just do this, right? Like put 10 in here instead of x. If you wanted to check something, 2 times 10 plus 3 equals 13. Just check if it works. Does 10 work? No, it doesn't, right? Because you got 20 plus 3 is obviously the wrong number. If you wanted to check, what is the right answer for that actually? 5. 2 times 5 plus 3. Because that works. 10 plus 3 is 13. All we're doing now is we're having equations that don't just have one variable. This has one variable. The ones that we're doing have two variables. When you have one variable, you only need one equation. For what we're going to do, we have two variables, but we have two equations. For grade 8, you had to check if your solution, the one variable you had, worked in the one equation you had. Here, if you want to check a solution, you have to check if the two values you have work in both equations. So if somebody's saying check if that's the solution, they mean is this x and this y, does it work in both equations? You need to check it in both equations. But you do it exactly the same way as you would have done before, right? If you want to check this, x plus 4y equals 10, do these numbers work if you put them in? Which one's x? X is the first one, so you can put in negative 2 there and you can put 3 here. And then just see if it works. Does that work? Negative 2 plus what is that? 12? Does that work? Negative 2 plus 12 is 10. That works in that one equation. Just because it works in one equation doesn't mean it's the solution. It has to work in both. Remember the table that we talked about? The one that's the solution, I'm just going back here for a second. The one that's the solution worked for both equations. It was in both tables. So if you're checking it, you got to see that it works in both. So try it in the other one as well. Try it in the second equation. Y equals 3x plus 10. And then put the numbers in and see. Negative 2 is x. 3 is y. 3 times that plus 10. Does that work? 3 times negative 2, what is that? Negative 6 plus 10, is that? Negative 6 plus 10 is what? 4? 4 is obviously not equal to 3, right? This doesn't work. If it only works in one of the equations, it is not the solution. Therefore, there's a symbol for therefore, it's 3 little circles or dots. Therefore, negative 2, 3 is not the solution. If we looked at a graph, what would you expect? If you had a graph that looked like this, and one of the lines was like this, and one of the lines was like this, what would you expect? Where would you expect this point to be? Is it going to be this point right here? It's not the solution, so it's not that point. Where is it going to be? Is it going to be over here somewhere, off of both of the lines? If it works in one of the equations, but not in the other, where is it going to be on that picture? It's not going to be where they both cross, because then it would work in both equations. It's not going to be off of both lines, because it works in one of them. It's going to be on one of the lines and not on the other. If something works in one, it's not the solution. It's only on one of the lines. For it to be the solution, it's got to be on that intersection point, and both of these have to work. All right. Can you get going on working on this? This is one you could finish in the time you have here. We talked about what a system is. A linear system just means if the two equations are linear equations. And we talked about what a solution is. You put those in your own words. Get going on some of the questions here. You can make a table for each one of those and go with it.